Hey Gabe, I was able to take a little creative time today to work on this tree beast leader. So, so here's some of the ideas. I got a bit of inspiration today. So I do want to use the bristlecomb pine tree. Well, hold on. Let me back up a minute. Let me just set the scene. This is what happens in the story. Is I have several characters who arrive to a sort of a throne room where there's a circle of treefolk leaders, and this is the leader of all of those leaders. So I'm thinking in this scene, I'm thinking we can do it straight on, but I'm thinking looking at him straight on, kind of as it is now, might be a little too boring. I mean, that would be the easy road to take. But I was thinking, I like to try to capture different perspectives across all the artwork for all the game cards. So I was thinking it might be kind of cool if we could be a person who's kind of like standing around here and looking up at the tree beast, and we could even possibly see maybe part of a character in front of us, and that would give us a sense of the scale. So it's almost like worm's eye view, maybe not that intense, but from down here looking up to him and seeing the canopy of his like hair above us, and he's looming above us. That would be pretty cool. So the bristlecomb pine can grow to be 50 feet. So I'm thinking we'll just make him 50 feet. And and the average height of a human being like 6 feet or a little bit less or whatever, that's about the scope of it. But he's going to be in a throne room, and we're going to have to design also what surrounds him. And it's something kind of cool. I'm not quite sure yet what can be the background there, but it's inside this meeting room of trees. Okay, so let's kind of go down the list here. So what I'm thinking is he's a bristlecomb pine. Some of the bristlecomb pines can be like a light white, grayish, light brown. They have a really kind of a cool color, some of them. And I was thinking he could have been struck by lightning, which also burned him. So he could be white, but with maybe black hollowed out center and a big lightning strike crack in here, possibly with blackened part of his trunk. Maybe some of it could still be white, I don't know. Maybe it could look like white that got burned. I know you're good at those kind of technical things like that. Maybe that could inspire you to do something really cool, like whitish gray bark that got burned by lightning. And so the head shape is kind of up for grabs. I'm not sure if I really like what I have there now. It could be more like these kind of types things over here. But really, for the bark and the outline of the tree and the outline of the branches, I really want you to look at what a bristlecomb pine looks like, because it's actually a type of windswept tree, they call it. I just realized that. So it has these amazing bends and curves in it. It gets shaped by the wind over time. So we could actually spiral that trunk up and make the branches do some weird sweeping things. It has a really cool look. But I'm thinking he gets struck by lightning. That's what brings him his source of power and his wisdom. He lived through that traumatic event, and he's thousands of years old. Bristlecomb pines are some of the oldest living organisms on Earth, I think. But so what I'm thinking is the branches which come out of his head are new growth. Maybe some of his arms can even be new growth. So that's growing out of where the lightning struck. And maybe you can look at lightning struck tree pictures to get some ideas of how to make that look. But the new growth branches come out. There's new greenery up top. And this can create a bit of a ceiling which can kind of darken the room a bit. Some of these branches, I'm horrible at drawing this, but some could even come towards us and create more of a foreground, if you like. Now, let's see, let me cross off what I talked about. Yes. So for the face, what I want to do is I want to make him look more strange, like nothing we've seen before, something that's not necessarily symmetrical, maybe a little more of a Pan's Labyrinth, sort of surreal and scary type creature that we're having trouble understanding, what exactly is this face that we're looking at? However, I don't want to go so far that people just can't understand it and it's too confusing and it looks weird. So I want to strike a balance between, I guess, human form and non-human form. I think the farther away you can go from human form while still making it look cool and we understand what it is, like that's great. Like, how do we thread that needle? I was kind of experimenting here, like what we can do is, what I'm thinking is this crack here is going to be his mouth, which can open sideways when he talks. So he's got like a sideways length mouth. But I don't want it open for the scene because he's not going to be talking. He's just going to be like staring them down. So we'll just have this crack. And then I was thinking he could have holes, maybe from bugs or from the lightning strike. And what he does is he wedges magical crystals into the holes. So we can make the eyes any shape we want that conveys he's a fearful beast. Because he decided, I'm going to try to make my face look like something that would scare people and scare humans. He knew he could make himself into anything that would look like anything. So he wedges crystals there to be like eyes, but he doesn't really necessarily need eyes. He's just this magical tree folk thing. So I was experimenting over here. He could have some wedged in as sort of like eyebrows. They can be any shape we need to create the look we need. So that's the kind of cool thing there. The lightning strike doesn't necessarily have to go right down the middle, or maybe it could arc over to the side in some dramatic fashion or whatever. But that's basically what I was thinking there. Okay, moving right along. I saw some cool fungi once. I have to look up again where it is. I think it's a fungi, but it creates sort of like a lattice-like framework when it grows. And I was thinking, oh, that'd be a kind of cool thing to make as a garb for a tree folk later. And I'm thinking, yeah, now we could actually make that look like a chainmail. So we'll make it like a fungi-type chainmail, and I'll look that up later, and then we'll possibly throw like a sash over here, or maybe some types of badges. I'll brainstorm that later, but something to make him clearly look like he's a leader. And then I want him seated. Maybe he'll sit on a tree stump or something, like a tree stump of his fallen brethren. I just made that up. And his knees, he has multiple legs, just like he has multiple arms. That's one thing, is he can have multiple arms which have a specially made hole on his chainmail shirt so that they can come out of here wherever they need to come out of there. So he'll have holes in his shirt for the extra limbs, and then he'll have like his robe is coming down here. He can have multiple legs, and I'm thinking if the legs are visible in the end, we can see them tunneling into the ground just like roots. We can have them bend out of here like toes or like feet out from under the robe. Like here would be a knee, here's the foot, which burrows into the earth. So he's like plugged into the earth. And then he can have a wildly shaped staff, which he likes because he has multiple arms which can grab every angle of that staff. So no one's going to take that thing away from him. He's locked into it at like multiple levels. We can make him have a staff. Maybe it can even go out of sight into the canopy. Like we don't even know what kind of weapon that is. What's he holding on to? Yeah, multiple arms, legs, seated. Now in the story, he is connected to the other trees in the circle through like a network of fungi in the soil. And when he talks to them, he doesn't even move his mouth. He can communicate telepathically through roots in the floor which light up with electricity, and these people see the signals moving under their feet. So if that's visible in the scene, we can do a light up network, which is his communication network, lighting up across the floor. So it can be a darkened meeting room, but we'll have these light up roots networks across the floor. He's got these light up eyes here, which can light up somewhat. We can do a white or silvery type chainmail that can light up a bit. I'm just trying to think of how to light up the room a bit. Maybe his staff even has a few magical pieces wedged in or whatever. Or he can have like a handle, part of a branch, creating a nice handle hold or something, or whatever. So yeah, that's about it. The positioning of this will be important because, as always, he's going to be off to the right of the game card. We have to think about, I don't want him too far away and I don't want him too close. We got to think of just the perfect setting for him, which also we have to understand the size of things, the proportion of things. I want him to feel big, but not necessarily close to the foreground of the card. So we have to somehow add things to give us a sense of the scale of it. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. Oh, check out this. I was thinking, what if we wanted to leave this as like a nose area rather than a crack dividing the whole front? Maybe something like this is possible. The lightning went in and blasted out, and maybe this is tree trunk here. You know, this crack gives us opportunities to create something that looks like a nose. I don't know if that looks too comical or what, but because we're doing cracks and because we're wedging in jewels any shape we want, think about the negative space, what kind of shapes that can create for us. That can help us to form any kind of look that we want. And keep in mind that the outer line of this face can be anything that looks cool. Maybe just a typical sort of bumpy, windswept, I mean, it can have sweeps moving through it, this trunk, and it can have kind of a bumpiness. You're much better at that kind of stuff than I, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, something like that right now. The sketches you already made, maybe you were thinking to make it the same type of species that we did before, but that's not exactly what I was going for. The one that you have now, it looks too similar to the tree beast we made before. I wanted a totally different type of tree. There's all kinds of tree beast in the land. They're just huge trees that can go to war. So they come in all sizes and shapes and all kinds of different species. So yeah, this canopy will be cool if it can create for us kind of like a ceiling that comes up to the foreground, and we almost feel like we're under it. And there's other trees sitting in a big circle here which we can't see, and their treetops are also creating the ceiling of this room. I got to think about something cool made from plants that will give us a feeling that we're in this sort of chamber, this treefolk conclave. And just remember, you know, I'll give you a template later, but there's going to be text here, so there can't be anything too busy right where the text is. You know how the game cards look by now. Alright, so that's the game plan. I feel like a football coach. I should add in some X's and O's and some mathematical equations. Alright, good luck with this one. I'm excited to see some more sketches from you.